Hello! How's it going, everyone? We're here to do some crafting, which we're pretty excited about.
Yeah.
Just for some context, we were running around a few seconds ago in complete panic, so...
Like, my audio dropped. We were trying to sync everything up. Classic kind of streaming stuff.
It wasn't good,
no,
basically.
it's great to be doing this.
We're here, though, now, so... and I've got all my stuff and all my bits of kit, so... yeah, let's make some Lamellar armor, basically.
So...
Do you want to do a bit of spiel about how you came up with this, the intention of it, and all that stuff, basically, and we can kind of go
I've
through
got
it
a bunch of stuff, and I thought it might be useful to show everybody.
Sam's here, by the way. Oh, let's hold on. Let's say hello to chat first. It's yeah, right.
No,
so we got
actually, it would help if I joined the actual stream.
Yeah, that would be good. You can actually speak to people and have the benefit of doing a live stream like this, Ian, is get to
it's
talk
almost
to
like
people.
That would be the clever way.
Yeah, for sure. Right, so Sam, our buddy Sam's here, Sam Wheatley. Hi there. Should Bessie right now, evening, and then, sorry, should be deep right now. Yeah, cool. Hi Ryan, good to have you in, buddy, as always. And then we got Strikes Like Torn's Eye, evening. And then you said hello, Ian, so that's good. I apologise, I'm dyslexic, so... Oh, hi Anna! It's Anna. It's that's cool, right? Yeah, by the way, me being a dyslexic fool will butcher all the names in chat, by the way, so prepare for that.
We're both dyslexic.
Yeah,
and so it's just going to be...
Oh, hi Jimbo, how's it going, bud? Thanks for joining. That's cool. Yeah, I'm totally going to forget all these names, but cool. Hey, thanks for showing up, by the way. That's fucking cool,
yeah,
right?
Thanks so much, everyone, for coming.
There he is. Ace of Shoop's here as well. Nice. The whole gang. The whole gang. Oh, fuck, this is already, like, put me in the best mood, by the way.
We were saying, like, no one would turn up.
Yeah, we're going to be like, we're just going to craft together. So, yeah, fucking cool, man.
So, shall I give a bit of context as to how this all came about? And
yeah, tell you what, I'll quickly just say, the plan is, what we'll do is we'll go through, he has to, oh, hi Kai. Ian's going to teach me basically how to make the armor, and it's a design that he came up with. We'll probably do that for a bit until I get rolling, and then after that, we'll probably just do some general questions and chit chat and all that sort of stuff, right? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Wicked. All right, Ian, go for it. Let's lay it on us.
So, as always, caveats galore with all this. Like, I'm no expert. Everything about to hear is the clues in the friggin' title. Like, you know, everything we do is pretty.
Let's see if I can do
by the seat of our pants, really.
That's bad.
So the basic idea was I wanted to try and think up a way of doing some cheap armor that I could mock up relatively quickly. And of course, like most people, when I started LARP,
Ian, can you just move your fan slightly away from the microphone?
Yes. Okay. So like most people, when I started LARP, I didn't have a lot of budget, and I decided I would have a go at making some armor. I made some pretty ropey kind of stuff, but it got me through a couple of events my first year, and then I basically started the project of trying to make some much more high standard armor. And what I basically wanted to do was make some Lamellar armor, and I wanted to do some steel Lamellar armor. So I basically set about doing that.
So just to say, show it, Ian, because it's you can say what Lamellar is, but honestly, I hadn't heard of it before you made it. So
right, hopefully you guys can all see this.
Oh, thanks, Jimbo. By the way, that's cool, man. Yeah, look at that. So you use two different types of cord there. You've got purple and green, representing your affiliations to both Eurozen and Navarre, which is very, very clever. Did I think I did. I think I nipped myself while shaving. Damn it.
For context for everyone, it's basically made out of steel plates, which hopefully you can see there. So these are basically what we call the Lamellar Plates. And obviously when they're made out of metal, they come to you as naked steel. I've then gone through the very long process of essentially undercoating them. I undercoated it in white. I should have done it in black, but anyway.
What's the purpose of undercoating?
Well, I basically wanted to paint them, and the main reason I wanted to paint them was to basically avoid rust, because when you're dealing with obviously real steel, it's going to rust after a while unless you keep boiling it. So an easy way to kind of get around that was to paint them. Of course, as with everything, I approached it with almost no actual skill or experience. I am fortunate, however, that I work in a research library, and that gave me the ability to get a couple of books. I'll mention them, but they're not important, and hopefully you'll learn everything you need from this stream.
I would like to think so.
And if you could pick up on the internet.
Also, everyone in chat, if you have any questions at all, like we're going to be buggering about and talking, but if you have any questions, fire them in. Also, lots of people have been very nice about your armor, Ian, so that's cool.
Nice.
That's cool.
I really appreciate it. It's so basically, the two books that I looked at. The first was Armor from the Battle of Wisby. For context, if you try and get a copy of that, that's going to be about £400. So I can tell you that that's not worth it. I work in a research library, so I basically was just able to get that.
Exactly, Sam. Expertise here. To be fair, Ian did literally go through historical books to figure out how this design works. So it is legit. It is legit. Is that right in saying that, Ian?
Yeah, relatively. I mean, this is kind of there's certain things that we'll talk about as we go through if people are interested in the actual history of Lamellar and stuff like that. I mean, it's a fairly dry topic, or it would be told by me anyway. But yeah.
Shut up, Ian. Don't apologise. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Come on.
No, so from that, then the next book, and the book I would actually recommend if you want to get a book about Lamellar armor, is Armor Never Wearies. I can't remember the author, and my copy's not at hand. It would have actually been good if I'd had it on hand. You can get that for about £19. But as I say, none of this is necessary if you have a historical interest in armor that basically is either Lamellar or scale. That's a good way to go, I think.
But
just to get a historical context.
You do not need to buy any books to do this, right? We're going to go through everything. We also are going to. We've also got links and a whole bunch of other stuff to basically, like, you'll be able to download those and have a look at how we do it. And definitely, I want to caveat, because Ian's very, very bashful, and he's going to be. But Ian did put a lot of effort into this. It's really fucking cool. We're still trying this stuff out, right? So Ian's made one out of steel. We're making one out of leather today. This is all pretty uncharted ground for us. We're not professional crafters. We're going to try our best. We've done some tests, so it should be fairly durable.
I'll show you basically where I've gone, where I've taken things, and you can kind of make your own minds up.
Yeah.
So that steel set you're looking at there, that took me probably about 4 to 6 months, and that's on and off work. Obviously, the actual hours in that is a lot less.
Like a lot of crafting, it's something that you can do while doing something else or something to do to relax, right?
Most of that was painting these plates. And just because the process of basically having several hundred plates and undercoating them all, they've each got 2 undercoating layers, then 2 primer layers. This is in British Racing Green, if anybody's interested. You obviously can pick your own colours.
Yeah.
The process of basically making that Lamellar armor was really good fun, but obviously it's not the kind of thing that you could do quickly. Steel
plus,
is not obviously
the nature of the materials, right? To punch a hole through steel, what did you use? Like a drill? No,
so actually, I actually was really lucky and managed to find a really cheap suit of Lamellar. Actually, from India.
Plates, you mean, right?
The plates, yeah. And you could definitely make your own plates, but I managed to find basically the plates, and then I kind of edited them a little bit. You'll notice, and this won't be true of the design we're going to look at in a minute, but you'll notice that this plate, hopefully this will show up, has basically
a little higher in. There you go.
My dyslexia is all over the place.
Take your finger off a little bit.
You'll notice.
Yeah. That looks good though, yeah.
The plates at the top, so the holes at the top. I'm not watching with a slight delay.
No, you're good, bud. You're good. It's perfect. What Ian's trying to say is the ones at the top are slightly closer to the edge than the ones at the bottom, which you can see on that screen, right? So there's a difference in the gap between the top one and the bottom one.
The reason for that is simply historically when they're layered up, you don't want the blade
Thank you very
to
much,
sit underneath
Goldo,
the
by the way.
plates.
Sorry, we're just getting compliments on how nice the stream looks, which is,
Thank you.
as with anything LARP Noobs, it is a complete facade, and there is complete amateurish behind everything. Like, I've got a lamp next to me. I have a 30 quid webcam, so thank you very much. Anyway, Ian, I'll stop interrupting. Keep going.
No. So, yeah, from that, ultimately,
Hi, George.
I've kind of moved on, and I want to kind of make some cheap armor to monster with. Was really where I first took this.
I'll be back. Keep going.
Yeah, I was of the opinion that basically I could maybe make some leather Lamellar that would be a lot cheaper, a lot more cost effective. And I came up with the idea of basically buying sofa offcut leather, which is quite cheap and thin, unlike actual fixed stock leather that you might get, and then attaching that to self-adhesive foam to thicken up the leather essentially, and then making plates from it that then I can string together and make an armor suit out of. And to give you context of what that looks like, you'll basically end up with something like this.
Hold it that way, yeah, that way, Ian, because there you can see the bit more in the light. That's the leather version that we're talking about now.
Yes, that's what we're talking about making. Okay, so this is made out of lots and lots of leather plates that are then attached to a foam backing. Okay, and you have paracord that basically attaches all of these together. The actual process for putting it all together is very much the same as the steel set. It's just obviously when you're dealing with leather, you can punch it out much more quickly, in theory, and with the sort of leather and foam sort of method, it's pretty simple to produce, and cheap is the most important thing. I wanted to make something cheap. So to give you an idea of context for
hey Scriven, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for joining us the other day again, man. Good to see you.
I'll do a share of my screen now, and
okay, I'm standing by to push you the button when you're ready in.
Okay, so let's go here.
Yeah. You're channeling,
okay, so
you're channeling your inner
Paracord
Picard there.
See this?
Yeah, they can see that. I think so.
Okay, hopefully it's clear. So basically, this will be shared to everybody, and this will basically give you all of the information you'll actually need to make the armor that we're looking at.
Screw it. Do you know what? I'm actually going to share this right now so people can see it. I will share that. How am I going to share that? I can share that by going to... Bear with, keep going in. I'll share it in a second.
Yeah, okay, sorry. So basically there's two files that you're going to be looking at here. The first is going to be the crafting items. This is actually what you'll need to buy in order to do all of this. It'll give you pricing and a bit of like text basically going through everything. And then the next thing you'll need will be this PDF here, which is of something I've made, which basically is all of these plates that I've measured out and made a PDF for, which will basically let you produce. This first page here is the templates that you can print out. I suggest you print out on a cardstock that your printer can cope with. So I'll show you basically what the templates look printed out in a second. But basically, you could also try and mock these up just using the various measurements and stuff I've given here. I think it's fairly clear. Hopefully I've made it clear. I've tried to put a lot of effort into making it clear. But obviously, anybody needs any help, please do give me a shout.
Go through the different...
next part
go through the patterns.
Go through the patterns. So each of these designs I was showing here, they all tessellate in slightly different ways. Now, the ones that I showed you there are what we call D plates, because they look like capital Ds. And you'll notice that I also had like these double D plates here. And then this document here, the next page will show you basically how you would lay out Lamellar armor and how you would thread the different pieces of paracord, in and out, in and out. Hopefully that's clear and will help people actually do the threading you need to assemble the armor. It's actually it's very, very simple stitching, essentially, to attach the plates together. Lamellar, one of the great things about it is that it's very time consuming to produce, but the actual method for constructing it is pretty simple, and it's easily replaced if a plate gets.
I think this is
replace
definitely
that individual plate.
This is a really good point, right? That we're okay. So one of my main concerns before we even started this was because we're sticking the leather onto the these foam boards with the adhesive on them. We were concerned about durability. Ian, you did a test. I've seen it. It looks pretty good. But take everything that we're doing here with a slight pinch of salt. We haven't worn it for a year, right, and treated it like crap, so we don't know. But what like Ian pointed out there, the relative price and the modular nature of it. Like if you mess up a whole bunch of them, you can take them out and just replace them with another set that you might have made. So that's one thing to bear in mind. But like I said,
you'll see when we look at the other document, the prices are all pretty low and hopefully affordable for everyone. I've tried to find links that will source you to the places that I've used as close as I can and give you the prices as best as I could. But as you can see, as I go through the other designs, there are multiple different ways you can lay out your Lamellar. For example, these O plates, they basically represent what we would call...
It's gone black on my screen for some reason. Oh, it's used to you ended the stream. Hold on. Oh, we lost Ian. Ian, we've just lost your camera, I'm afraid. Your actual camera. If you go back to Discord and then click on the turn camera on and off again, that should bring you back.
Okay, cool.
There he is.
Sorry about that.
Cool. No. It's, I was watching.
Share, sorry.
No, we're not. You need to reapply that.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys. We'll do. Yeah, we're dealing with what we've got, so please bear with us. Yeah, I think like there's a comment here that says seeing it really helps. I totally agree. For me as well. Hold on, let me push the button. Yeah, there you go. We're back on the streaming.
Okay, so basically then there's hex plate, which I'll show you an example of in a minute, and that's what my new set of this armor is going to be made out of. And then some other sort of designs I've come up with. I've given these very tropey names, like this is gem plate here, and then ingot plate here. You can call them whatever you like. These aren't actual proper terms. But so those are basically the designs. There are many more designs you can come up with. Basically any shapes you can get to that will tessellate readily enough. And bear in mind, they only really need to tessellate in one direction, as with the D plates, as long as you can get them flowing backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
They'll work. So I'll run through the crafting items and the things you'll actually need. So first of all, you're going to need some scissors. Now, I like having a really nice set of fabric scissors. I'll run through all those tools. Have you actually? Sorry, I don't know how the stream works. Do you guys have like my camera operating at the same time, or is
you're in a little camera just on the side, Ian, basically, so we can see.
So these are my fabric scissors. You can't buy these anymore off the link that I had previously.
Your scissors look so much nicer than my scissors.
Yeah, these were really good find actually. These are 12-inch Galladium dressmaking scissors. And they only cost me like £11.49. I've put all this in the document. Again, you don't need fabric scissors, but I think for what fabric scissors will offer you if you're going to be looking at crafting long term and the finish they give you, a good pair of fabric scissors are just a fantastic investment for crafting in general, and something I've really found very useful for all the different projects I've been working on. And I'll show you some other crafting things I've done after if people are interested as well.
Ian, do you know what I didn't do is put on some cool music. Hold on.
Yeah. So any fabric scissors will do, or any kind of scissors will do, just something that you don't mind cutting several hundred plates out with and are fairly confident being precise with. The next thing is a revolving hole punch. Something like this. Hopefully you guys can see that in the little window you guys have. I've given a link to the one that I have. Basically just the kind of thing you can punch the holes out with. You'll notice on the design document the holes, they come in at about 4 millimeters. So you want something that can kind of produce that kind of hole. And again, that you are confident that you'll be able to use comfortably for several hundred pieces. And then we get to and then the last thing is some way of basically melting the paracord that you're going to have, and I'll get to paracord in a minute. As with all things that involve fire or heat, be smart and don't do what I do. But what I do is literally use a little lighter and I melt the ends of the paracord, and then with my fingers I do like a brushing motion essentially to squish it down. I'll show you guys how I do it. As I said, caveats galore when it comes to fire. Be sensible, be smart, don't probably do what I do. But that's the cheap way of doing it. Then going for materials, this is where we kind of really get stuck into what we're going to be looking at here. I've got 2 links here to 2 sources of getting essentially ex-sofa stock leather scraps that you guys can buy and use. I think the prices are very, very competitive. I'm sure you can maybe find better prices out there, but these are 2 sets of products that I found really good success with. I think realistically, I would recommend, as I've got highlighted in red here, trying to get 4 kilograms of leather, just because these come to you as a lucky dip, essentially, of leather. I'll show you what one of the bags looks like. And this is an open bag.
Let me just dip in for 1 second.
Sure.
I've added music in the background. Is that at an okay volume? Can people even hear it? I'm not really... It's a little loud to me, actually. That's annoying. I might bog off the music, actually. I think that might be a bit distracting. Sorry, Ian. I'll stop bugging about. Cool.
Okay, so the bags basically come to you like this, and they are chock full of leather.
That's
you guys can see.
Yeah, we'll show all of that off. Do you want to go through the...
Yeah,
go through the full document, Ian.
Basically, you're going to get, depending on which one you buy, several kilograms of leather. They come to you as little scraps. We'll show you what the scraps look like. So that's the first piece of material need. The second piece is the self-adhesive foam. Now, this is simply what I've used. I think you could certainly do this cheaper, although I think the prices here are very cheap. The ones that I very much suggest you use are what I've, again, highlighted here, is the Hobbycraft £1 per sheet self-adhesive black foam, or you can have white self-adhesive foam. Again, I'll show you what this looks like in a bit. This will give you, I think, a nice mixture of a kind of quality finish with the foam and a kind of an affordable price. As I've listed here, it's £20 to get free delivery, so get yourself 20 sheets, and you'll probably want 20 sheets anyway. There are other foam options I've listed here. I will show you them. They have different qualities and they're useful for different things. Again, I would recommend the top one, but you may very well be lured to give it a go with the second option that I've listed here, which at 10 sheets for £3 is obviously very attractive.
Well, that's very good.
But it'll be a different type of effect, is all I'll say about that, and we'll look at that later. The last item you're really going to need is going to be paracord. I have only got experience of buying the top one here, which is actually more expensive than the bottom option here, but I found it, so I thought I would include it. As with all the prices and things listed here, these are prices based off what I discovered at the time, obviously, and they are subject to change, and products obviously change, but hopefully this will help you guys, even in the future, manage to find equivalent products if they're no longer available. Right, so hopefully you guys will be able to download those files and they'll be useful to you. And if anybody ever has any questions about them, please do get in touch and let me know. So I will switch back to my camera. Hopefully that will work. Am I back?
Do you know what's weird? Oh, I know why the audio was messing with me. It's because we were hearing the audio through your screen share. That's really interesting. I didn't know it did that.
Oh.
There we go.
Okay,
let me try and fuck you with it a bit then.
You do that in the background then.
Yeah.
So I will now. I'll show you guys some of the products then. Oh, my camera's gone a bit dodgy, isn't it? I'll show you guys some of the products and what they actually look like, so you guys can hopefully get a good idea of what we have. So first off, I guess it's worth showing you what the templates look like. Okay, so when you print them out on card, they're going to come out like this. Okay. And obviously, then you can just cut them out. And we can go through the process of doing that. I mean, that's all fairly simple stuff. You guys can use scissors, cut that out. What I recommend you do, though, when you have that, is then where did I put it? It would be helpful if I had everything exactly to hand. But what I do,
I will reshare that in the thing for you. Hold on.
So what I do is I take these, and when I cut them out to give the the templates more durability, I actually like to cover them in some sellotape. So first of all, I'll basically cover this cardboard page that I printed out here. I'll do some runs over it with sellotape. If you can, what I actually prefer to use, and I don't seem to have it in this box. Aha! If you can get book binding Scotch tape, which is what I use, that gives you a really nice finish that you can lay on top of this, and when you cut it out, you'll find you'll have a very crisp finish to your templates, and they'll last for a very long time. That's what I've done for some of yours as well, Dave. So
thank you.
You'll have them.
Yeah, as always, this is very much a Ian helping me out with all of this. He's been an absolute diamond. So he sent me all of this printout document stuff. He's also very kindly made a couple of other bits for me. So you can see in this bag, he's basically made me a whole bunch of all the different types of. I'll show you. So he's provided a couple of mock-ups made out of cardboard here for the different D plates. He's given me examples of the actual plates themselves here. Here's one that's already been pre-cut with the foam on the back. Here is an uncut version, which just has the, I don't know if you can make it out on the webcam, but the small little pattern here. So just that's ready to be cut out and hole punched. And a whole bunch of different spares of templates for all the different shapes, basically. So really what you really need is to become best friends with Ian, and that would really help you out in this process. So.
Yeah, so what actually can be really useful as well to give, rather than going straight into your leather, is making some cardboard mock-ups. So what I've done here is make some of those. And that will basically help you guys get an idea for how you're actually going to end up stringing it together without wasting all the materials that you're going to be using. And it also lets you play around with shapes that you may like, and you can sort of see how they flex. Obviously, it's not a perfect analog, but I think that's actually quite a useful thing to do. And also with things like the hex plates that I have here, you can always, the holes work for different designs, so if you want to layer them up in different ways, you can do that as well. And you can generally have a play, and who knows, you can teach me a few things. So that's the templates and stuff that you need. The next thing is then looking at those materials we were talking about earlier. The first of which is the leather. Might be better to show. Well, we both got them.
Yeah,
but,
hold on.
Big old bag full of leather.
This is going to look really ghetto. All right. So, hi, new people in the chat. But I'm going to pan my camera over this way and tilt down a little bit. Can we tilt down a bit? That work? Yeah. Okay, so I have ghetto-ly put all of my leather in plastic bags, so I want to separate it. Basically, I separated it out into the different colours. Here is my bag of wacky offcuts. As you can see here, it's got there's some pinks in here and some luminous greens. Much of this is not really going to be relevant for LARP, but there it is, right? I split all the rest up into general big bags of it. So a lot of what you'll get is this beautiful dark brown color, which I really like, right? It's got shine to it. It's lovely. Also, a lot of this stuff, the lighter brown. And then if I go through my different bags...
It is very much a lucky dip when you buy these.
Yeah, massively.
So it's basically it's ex-sofa stock leather. So it depends what kind of leather what leather sofa they were working on, and what obviously didn't make it to the build, and then they just cut that up, chuck it in bags, and that's what gets sent to you. And this is going to come in lots and lots of different bits. Some bits are going to be thin, straggly bits that are going to be useless. Other bits are going to be relatively large that we can make things happen with.
It's quite
the great
thin,
thing
right?
about this.
It's not.
Yeah, it's relatively thin.
Relatively thin, but
it depends. It depends.
To be fair, I have no. It's not like I have a huge experience with leather work, so I'm not really sure what's thin or not.
But yeah, so it's also there's numerous other projects you could make that you could use this stuff for. So you're not just limited to this, but the great thing with the plates is that basically you don't need big pieces of leather to work with. You can just work with scraps like these, and essentially just cut multiple plates out of those scraps, and it wouldn't, you wouldn't be able to tell whether or not you cut it from one singular big sheet or like we have multiple other sheets.
A couple of questions coming in from chat, Ian. Let's just go through those real quick. So we got Scriven or Scriv. I think you said a while ago that the symmetry really isn't that huge issue when building. What do you? I mean, it is, right?
So basically, if you look at the D plate pattern, for example, it flows in one direction, and then you will flip it. In fact, I'll show you how it works. So this is some D plate Lamellar here.
This is exactly the leather that we're talking about using right now that I just showed you in the back.
Yeah, this is made out of what we're using now. And you'll notice that basically it flows one way and then it flows the other way. So really all that matters is that these holes, hopefully you can see them at the tops and bottoms of the plates, line up.
Yeah, so I can see that. No, that's good.
Camera work. So basically these just need to line up and then you'll be able to basically attach them together, okay?
We're getting a slight resolution issue on your camera, Ian, but everything's still visible on my end. So hopefully, no. Hopefully, people should be able to see when they're watching. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So, in many cases, some level of symmetry is necessary because obviously the pattern has to be consistent. The other benefit of making things out of leather is that leather has a certain degree of flex to it. The paracord that you're using will have a certain degree of flex to it. It's much, much easier than those steel plates I was using earlier. All the designs that I've made are things that I know will tessellate. I've made them all in different mock-ups and have attached them together in ways that I know work. But you can certainly experiment and find other shapes. And certainly if you just Google Lamellar plates, you'll find a plethora of different designs that have existed throughout history that will work. Just obviously take the time to think them through. And yeah, I mean, as I said, a really good way to go is to make some cardboard mock-ups and just sort of string them together and give them a go. And you're not going to mess anything up with it. Take the back of a cereal box, turn that into a couple of plates and string it together, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, like that'll tell you whether or not it'll work.
Interesting. I was just thinking about this. What do you think about, because effectively what we're doing, the whole process of adding the foam onto the back is effectively making cheap leather into something a bit better, right? Do you think that you could potentially get a larger sheet and effectively make other types of armor potentially?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's a really good example. So if you forgive me just for dashing off quickly.
Okay. Scriv, I hope that kind of answers your question. Hold on. Culturally universes armor from my research. Yeah, very much so. Lamellar armor is culturally done. Let me just quickly in. Oh yeah, go on. Go do your helmet in.
So to give you an example, this leather helmet that we're looking at here, this is essentially made using sheets of leather that have then been sort of stitched together. But actually the core of this, the thing that gives it its thickness, which hopefully you guys can see, the thing that gives it its thickness is the foam, right? And that's actually what the majority of this is. If we look inside, hopefully that's clear in some way. All of the inner side of the foam, of the helmet is foam. I've stitched it together, but it retains some kind of sense of rigidity, and it's what makes it strong is essentially the foam that's then been covered in leather. Ian, and obviously all these brass embellishments.
Ian covered this on a stream. If you go to Ian the LARPer on Twitch, he actually streamed this. If you'd like us to do this again, basically, then maybe we could do one for the helmet as well, Ian.
Yeah, this is slightly oversized, so I'll put it on now and I'm going to look a bit derpy, but the reason it's slightly oversized is because this is designed for me when I'm monstering.
Okay, yeah, so a question here from George. He's saying, I think that's George, it is George. Right. He's saying, does the leather backed with the foam only work as monster armor? It's a good question.
Oh, well, I think obviously you can find, anything that you can make appropriate for your character. I will tell you now. Sorry.
No, go on. Well, for me personally, I think I'm making this for my Navari character, potentially, and probably for monstering as well. But I'm gonna kind of see how creatively it works out as I go. Definitely monstering, possibly Navar.
So the armor that I showed you before, the leather armor that I showed you before this one, I was making that for monstering, and then I thought, well, my next character's, should Talus something tragic happen to him, my next character's maybe going to be a bit more rough and ready. Talus is, at least fancies himself to be a bit of a fancy lad, so he wouldn't go around wearing stuff like this. Not necessarily, anyway. But my next character's going to be pretty rough, I think, or have a rougher edge to him, so his armor will be different. The experience of making this, and by the way, the whole suit of this armor, one thing you'll get from this is the lightness of the armor. The whole suit of the armor, I think, comes in when it's all the different pieces. So that's the front, the back, then there are 4 shoulder pieces. Each one looks like this. So all of it together weighs in at about 950 grams. So you're looking at very, very light armor here, because of course the majority of it is foam.
Yeah. Also, chat, if I miss a question, could you just ask it again? I'll lose stuff in the chat, basically. So if you do have a question and we haven't answered it and you want to go through, don't feel like you shouldn't ask again or I'm ignoring you. Just ask the question again.
Yeah. So anyway, the process of doing that basically then made me, and actually watching Ace of Shoop actually use this process to make his own set of armor using the idea, and I recommend watching his streams. Actually, you'll
absolutely
see a
really fucking cool guy.
Breakdown how this has actually happened. That actually inspired me to try and do what we're doing now, which is try and explain the process more broadly and hopefully make this accessible to everyone. I think I'm sure it has been done before, but I've not seen it being done before in a way that I think is affordable to especially first-time LARPers.
Or anyone, right? Like one thing that we're doing now is, like, I think a lot of people have a lot of time and potentially not much money. So this is kind of a nice solution for you to kind of keep like some hype up for LARP, because obviously we haven't had any LARP this year yet, and give you something to work on, and maybe something to be quite proud of by the time that you're done making it, right? I think that's the other thing.
It's a long process to make. But it is a very rewarding process. And what I can say is, and you'll see when we actually get stuck in, sorry for the massive pre-ramble at the beginning, by the way, guys, but you'll see by the process when we actually get stuck in, it's so easy. And if you make a mistake, you're making mistakes on such small things.
Ian, don't set me up like that, man. I haven't done this yet, dude. Like, let's get going before we start completely saying how unbelievably easy and how, like, anyone could do this. Well, we're gonna find out.
Shall we? I think it's being accessible to everybody.
Shall we?
So the next thing is to show you what I'm working on next, which is this. So this is what I'm going to be working on today. This is basically exactly the same. This is using those hex plates that you saw in the previous design.
How awesome does that look?
What I'm basically doing is, essentially, if I show you an individual plate, hopefully you guys can see this. Again, I apologize for any camera quality issues. So each plate essentially is just a leather hexagon, which starts its life like this, which then has a leather washer that I've weathered. Hopefully that's visible.
Yep.
And a rivet, which again I've weathered.
And when you say weathered, Ian, what do you mean by that?
So basically what I do is I take those leather washers, those steel washers, and these are just 30mm steel washers.
I think Orion put it well here, by the way, when he says that is hextastic, which I think we all agree that is. Honestly, it looks so good. The webcam isn't doing this justice, by the way. It looks really fucking cool in reality, you know. Getting some very nice compliments here, by the way.
Thank you, guys. But the real key to all of this is, like that leather suit I showed you at the beginning, this one here, and Sheep will be able to comment on this as well. When you start looking at the prices that we were, the whole suit is going to cost you less than 40 quid probably.
Okay, let's break it down. Do you have links and stuff? Did we send the links?
All the links are in that document.
Yeah.
So
I did this. I had the scissors, so I ordered the hole punch. Ian kindly made me these little foam things to go on them. Unfortunately, without the foam things, they are quite uncomfortable. So if you're doing...
I have to say, actually, I use exactly the same ones. I've never covered mine. It's just I know that some people don't have as calloused hands as me, Dave. So I made you some leather covers.
Well, read into that. Read into that how you will, folks. But Ian, I'm going to take that as a point of kindness.
I find them very comfortable.
Scriv is saying the hex plate looks like ancient Greece. Very cool. I agree. That does look fucking awesome. It's also like, I think that what Ian's working on there and the way he's weathered it by using what's it called, sandpaper, and he's also painted it and kind of messed up. Like, weathering's like a really important thing. It doesn't work for all nations, all right? But like for Navarre, having something that looks lived in can sometimes really add to a character. So that's what Ian's done. I think it'll work very well for Navarre, and I think it'll work really well for monstering. You know, what else we got here? Yeah. We got Sam had something similar. I'm making kit using an old drum cymbals as a metal, and it looks amazing. That sounds fucking awesome. And then we have Narrowbridin. Oh my god, I'm gonna call you Nar because my dyslexia is kicking in hard on that. Trying not to fangirl over like every item you show, but you guys are making it so hard. You can fangirl out, like, absolutely. Like, don't feel like you could. The stream, no moderators, no, just have a good time. Have a good time. Express yourselves. It's completely fine. Like, do your thing.
I'll run you through some other things I've crafted if people are interested. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that I can pull out as well. But I think maybe we should get stuck into actually doing this, and I should teach you probably a few things, Dave. But I guess the last few things I'll show is what the leather looks like. So we've shown what the leather looks like, but I'll show you what the foam looks like. So the foam is going to come to you in A4 sheets like this.
Comes in a big pack like this. As you can see, I haven't opened mine yet.
It's got a very nice finish to it. Now, this is the Hobbycraft foam that I was talking about earlier, and this is a peel-off self-adhesive back that we'll get to in a minute. It's never let me down. This is fantastic stuff, to be honest with you, and this is what I would go with. However, as I said, the lure of the cheaper foam is certainly there, and this is actually what I used. So this comes £3 for 10 sheets, right? You can already see there's a difference in quality here. So I would not recommend getting this for what we're going to do. But what I'll say is that this is actually the inside of my helmet. It's 3 mil thick.
Oh, interesting.
It's 3 mil thick. And that helmet, by the way, when you take all of that into consideration, its cost is, I don't know,
incredibly cheap. I remember you even saying how even if it doesn't work, like, you're still pretty cool with it because it's so cheap, right? And I think it's really come off well. I think that's going to be an excellent addition to your monstering kit, basically. And also something to aim for when you're actually playing your character. If you see someone walking around that helmet, you can go and kill that orc and know it's Ian, which is fantastic.
So the big thing with that was I wear glasses, and Dave's in the same position, and I can't really wear lenses. So I wanted something to just protect my glasses where I was wearing them, and so hence when I'm playing an orc, I thought it'd be useful to have a helmet that I could stick on. So yeah, that'll hopefully be useful.
I think all glasses wearers in the audience will completely appreciate that. The paranoia of wearing glasses while LARP battling is something else. So I think it's a good call. In fact, I'd like to think about something. Yeah, that's another conversation. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I've gone through, as I say, a stream that will kind of break down how that was done. There was a lot of trial and error in that, and there's been a lot of trial and error in everything I've done. And hopefully, you'll see that what you're getting is the process of me making lots of mistakes and trying to find stuff that works. And this is as far as I've taken it to this point.
Ian, I think Ian, straight up, I think what you've done so far is absolutely brilliant, and providing everything and breaking it down. Like, he's done this for me, right? Which is fucking incredible, which I really, really appreciate. But I think it's so good that, like, we're getting this stuff out there and other people might have a shot at making it and get through it. So Ian, bravo, sir. Really, really nice stuff, dude.
So the next thing I'll show is the paracord. So I have to forgive a little camera jiggery here, but hopefully you can see I've got these reels up here. and this is my Paracord, which basically comes in 100-meter reels of I've got green and purple here because these are the two colours that are pertinent to my character.
Holy shit! You have a. When did you put that in there? You have.
I've always had this. I have a little crafting wall. Yeah. And the cool thing, this is actually all from IKEA, but that's a whole separate story. But the cool thing with that is I can just reel down some paracord and it works quite nicely.
Well, when you need 200 meters of paracord, Ian, you know what I mean? You don't want to have the inconvenience of having to roll it out manually.
But yeah, so but paracord is what I use to attach all of my plates together. It's super easy to use. The only things to be aware of, and we'll get more into this, is when you cut it, the ends fray, and that's why you need to melt the ends, because otherwise you'll get like a fray kind of mess that will eventually come apart.
Yep.
It's cheap and it's easy to use. Again, a lot of this was basically finding cheap, visually effective, and what I think will be fairly practical armor that you can make using a lot of time, not a lot of money, and a bit of determination on your part.
Yeah.
So I think with that, that's all of the key components together. So maybe we should go through the process of actually making a few plates, Dave, and put you on the spotlight a little bit. Is there any questions or anybody has at this stage?
Yeah, let's have a couple more questions. So what we got here? Okay, Sam's like, the amount of people trying to kill the cocky bastard with the sheep shoulders is unbelievable. Best choices. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Good idea. I don't know what that was relevant to, but thank you. Even Daisy is amazing. So I hope this is like, there's two things here. One, I hope this isn't one of those when you see a radio DJ for the first time and you're like, oh my God, that's what they look like, because I'm sure people are doing that right now. And two, if you listen to the podcast, whenever I'm pausing when he's describing this stuff, it's usually because I'm there just shaking my head at him like, Jesus Christ, Ian, fucking calm down, mate. I mean, God damn. So yeah, that's yeah. That's a tiny bit of wall of our village ironmongers as a kid. Yeah, and then Phil showed up. Hi Phil, how's it going, buddy? Phil, we've just gone through a lot of the patterns that we're talking about. We've shared some documents on how to make it, and you're going to get to the best bit, which is me failing on stream to follow Ian's instructions and make the armor. Does anyone have any questions at this stage before we start crafting, or is everyone happy to keep going? Obviously, if you have questions, fire them in. Cool. Yeah, nice one. Thank you, Nar. I really appreciate that. You posting that. Good stuff. Right, Ian. Okay, also, my setup is quite bad. I'm going to move my camera. Hold on, it's just this. George is saying...
I think we both will. There might be some crotch shots accidentally. It's probably the thing to be aware of.
Yeah, so we're going to do a lot of crotch shots. I will try and limit, because it's not that sort of stream. And we're not going to be, what they call them, e-boys. We're not going to be e-boys, Ian. So we're going to not focus on that. You know how they have like e-girls who are like on streams or whatever, and they have very risque outfits on, and it's not good. We're not going to try and do that. But unfortunately, the nature of my Sam, don't do it.
What you don't know is I've got like a Hulk Hogan shirt here, and I'm just like,
Ian is rippling muscles underneath that shirt.
No.
I'm going to move the camera. I'm going to try and avoid crotch shots. And we're going to do some crafting now, basically. So,
sure.
Right, I'm going to move my camera. Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully I won't show how unbelievably messy the rest of my house is. Actually, it's not that bad at the moment.
Yeah, we both had a bit of a clean before we
God, before we started recording, the panic. Oh my God.
So funny.
I need to figure out a way of just not showing crotch shot. Hold on. I thought I'd figured out a position. Oh, let me move my beverage. Oh my God, this is where the stream falls apart. No crotch, Dave. Come on now. If I like that, and then crafty here. All right, let's try it, Ian. Okay, what am I doing first?
Okay, well, yeah. Have you thought about what plate designs you want to work on?
First off, Ian, I would like to go for the D plate.
Okay.
Because I like the one that you did there, which is gonna be. Where's the camera? Like this. This is the D plate pattern. Yeah, Ian, you can see it there on Ian's camera.
So while you're sort of finding like all of your various stuff, what I'll do as a real super quick is that you can see I printed it out on card here. Those of you who print it out on card, as I said, a really good thing to do is to make your template durable. So what I'm going to do straight away here is, I've already got many mock-ups of this myself, but we'll do it all together. I'm going to basically cover the area of my pattern here with some of that tape I showed you earlier. So this is Scotch tape, book binding tape.
Ian, I've successfully lost the D template.
Oh no, those you've got there, which are all attached together.
I'll take these off, right?
Yeah,
I'll show the back as well, actually.
So you could actually physically see how they worked. So if you just unthread one, you'll be able to do it.
It's pretty cool.
So the bits that aren't knotted, you'll be able to unthread.
Oh, these bits.
So
nice
you'll
see
that.
Thank you.
So while you're doing that, I've set your little puzzle there of unthreading that. I'm basically, as you can see, going to be cutting out this D plate here. I've covered it one side with the tape. I've just got a normal pair of scissors kicking around. Because I hate using my fabric scissors, by the way. And please, if you do get yourself some nice fabric scissors, don't damage them by cutting it on paper or card. You'll just slowly blunt the edge, and it's a shame if you've got some good fabric scissors.
Oh, that's interesting. So you should only really use your fabric scissors to cut fabric. I'm assuming the edge is quite delicate, right?
Well,
or you want to say
I just
sharp,
find
right?
it blunts over time. Sorry, I'm trying to do this all under the camera, but obviously that's not always going to be possible.
I am now, as you can see here, Ian has recommended, it's very hard to focus on my terrible webcam. Ian's coated this one in sellotape, which is going to give it a bit of structural integrity, basically, for continuing to make the over and over again. If you just leave it as cardboard, it can sometimes become damaged or frayed over time, so you might need to make another one. So it's something to be aware of.
Exactly. So that's what I'm doing here. So I've coated one side in the tape that I have here. Now I'm going to coat the other side.
Got a question here about Stanley knives. Do you reckon Stanley knives would work?
You could do.
Sam just posted. Puts kitchen scissors back in the drawer. No, dude. Like, work with what you got, right? Like, I don't even know, right?
Yeah. So, you don't need the fabric scissors at all, as I said off the top.
Stanley knives was the other question I asked. Let's not skip over them.
Yes. So, yeah. I mean, I definitely think you can make anything work. I mean, if you're going to be doing this, though, when you get to the bit where you're cutting the foam. Just having a good set of scissors to do that with, you'll find it just so much quicker. I mean, you're going to be cutting several hundred plates depending on what you're making. You'll have to forgive me because obviously cutting this.
Okay, and a question from Orion, which is, does anyone know if you can sharpen scissors? I would assume like any other blade. Yeah. I'm assuming you can. I mean, I don't know.
Myself.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
Let me get my. Actually, guys, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go for a pee because I've been too excited and I'm going to have to go for a pee. I'll be right back.
Okay, so I'm just, hopefully you guys can see, as I say, it's a bit difficult to angle this under the camera, but I'm just now cutting out the template that we're going to be using here. I know, this is pretty rough and ready. So now I've got it cutted out, or cut out, I should say. So obviously one side's got that print off on it. Okay, now I'm going to hole punch those out. So I have already kind of got my hole punch here set up to the 4mm setting. Again, all of this, I'm being super precise about it, and the measurements are all on the things. The main thing is that whatever you do, you're consistent with. So okay, obviously, I'm going to line up my holes and start punching these out. Okay, so
sorry, and I missed that. What size? 4?
4mm. You'll be able to find that.
Yeah, I found that here, which is there's cool. A little dial on the end here.
Punched. Yeah. So once I've punched, yeah. Sorry, I should actually show that on mine.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Keep going.
So once I've punched, and this will be something that you'll want to do as you go through. And I'm sorry if I'm being a bit patronising here. I just think it's worthwhile saying everything that I'm doing.
Ian, just assume you're being patronising for my benefit and not apologise for it. So I appreciate it, but okay.
So when I punch, what I do is then I twist the piece that I'm working on, okay? And by twisting it, I can be certain now that I've severed all the connection of whatever I've punched on the plate beneath. I know that sounds very obvious, but you're going to find when we start punching through the leather and the foam later that you're sometimes going to get these bits that don't fully punch out, which is no problem, and you can certainly you can just pick them out yourself with your fingers, so that's not going to be a problem for you all. But just you can often, like 80% of the time, avoid that just by giving it a little rotate.
That's a very good pro tip, Ian. Nice one.
Punch, twist, pull. Okay, that's that, and that's going to save you a lot of problems. Okay, punch, twist, pull. We're going to go along now, and we're just going to punch all of these out. Blam, blam, blam. Okay. And the thing I really have come to like about this technique, you'll see, is nothing here is like mega rocket science or anything. It's all super easy stuff that, with a few cheap tools and some materials, I really think, like, even if I mess this up now, right, what have I messed up? It's just a piece of cardboard and some tape, right? So, for example, I can feel that one hasn't gone all the way through, so I can give it a bit more of a twist. There you go.
Did I just tune into the Predator instructional video? Did I? Did it?
Cool. So that's now that all punched out. Oh, sorry, that's that all now punched out. So that's my template ready to go.
Nice.
All right. So that takes me up to the level where you are, Dave. So we're going to start putting you on the spot in a minute now.
Yeah, baby.
The next thing is that obviously all the measurements you'll notice for these plates are given. So you're able to then take your piece of leather, like this one here.
Yeah.
Again, I'm sorry, if my
what
camera
colour should I go for now? Maybe I should go for a colour I don't like to start with. And then...
Yeah, that works.
I like all of them. Okay, I'm going to go...
Okay, so while Dave's grabbing...
well, I'm just sitting here musing.
I've got my...
We're going to go... So, Ian, talk me through how big a bit I should try and slap on here. Should I try and cover the whole thing as best I can? Or is it like sections I should think about?
So you can do it that way. There is no wrong way of doing it. As with most things you're going to see here. But what I like to do is, for example, you'll notice this piece of the sofa leather here. It's got a fray here. So obviously I'm not going to want to slap a plate here, right? Because I'm inherently building a potential rip into a plate.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to want to do is I tend to work out, I'll draw a little square, basically. But basically, it's ever so slightly bigger in all dimensions than the plate itself. So I've got, for example, a sheet here. I'm going to be a bit...
Oh, we just lost your camera, Ian.
No?
Yeah, just activate your camera again, Ian.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know where that happened.
It's Discord, dude. It's I saw Hefty Yeti having some problems the other day with exactly the same problem.
Cool.
So.
Right. Sorry about that. Is that back?
You're back, bud. You're back.
Cool. All right. So what I'm going to do is I know that these templates basically, and you'll get used to whatever your measuring device is, but I know, but basically I want to be aiming for, hopefully you can make this out. I want to be aiming for something that's slightly bigger than what I have here. So I'm just quite simply going to just draw on my leather. Okay, I'm going to be taking out to the 6.5 on this particular thing. Okay, I'm going to go off to the other side, do exactly the same.
Hold on, slow down there, cowboy.
That's all right.
So
I'm basically going to, the process I'm trying to achieve here, Dave, is to basically draw a rectangle that will fit multiple plates on it.
Right, so the idea here is, so I've got my... I wish I could...
So, for example, the plate,
again,
if I measure it, and all these measurements are on the actual thing.
So for example, like this, I've got it on there, and I basically want to make sure that whatever I draw into this is slightly bigger than the shape of the plate, right?
The plate. All I'm doing right now, Dave, is drawing a rectangle, right? I'm not drawing around the plate or anything like that. Okay. I'm literally just going to be drawing a rectangle. So I know, for example, if you have a look...
Do you think it might be worthwhile using...
there you go.
Using...
So, for example, I can...
Do you think I should be using this, Ian, as a template?
Yeah, you can do. I mean, is that the thing I gave you?
Yeah. It's a bit
I would just use the template I gave you.
Like, I could use that, or
the one
the actual piece.
that you've got on your...
This one?
No. The one you've
this.
got on your sheet.
Sorry,
right
no,
now.
I meant for
that's what
drawing a
everybody else is
square,
gonna have.
basically.
Yeah. We'll go through the process from the very beginning.
Okay.
Okay. So as you can see, this template here is, less than 3 centimeters in size. So basically, I know that every 3 centimeters, I'm going to have one plate, right?
Okay.
It's less than. It's 7 centimeters in length, so I'm going to give myself an extra ½ centimeter. So the whole thing's going to be 7.5 centimeters tall. I'm sorry if this isn't focusing very well for you guys, by the way, but that's the basic process. So I'm going to be making a multiple of 3 by 7.5 rectangle, and that's all I'm trying to do at this point. So
for those not paying attention in class, Ian, so what were the measurements again?
So 7.5 high, and then a multiple of 3 that will fit on whatever sheet that you have. So for example here, I'm going to do mine by 18. So it's going to be 7.5 by 18.
Okay. 17.5. Sorry, 7.5.
Again, I mean, this is simply. It depends really what you value more, right? Wasting foam or wasting leather. You can always, because you'll see when we layer this up that one or the other you'll kind of lose out on when you're actually attaching it all together.
Maybe I'm thinking about this the wrong way.
Again, you don't need to worry about being too precise. I think you can get sort of overhung here. And essentially all I'm doing is drawing a rectangle like that. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this rectangle out, and that will end up on my foam sheet. Right now, I'm not too worried about being uber economical, just because this is an example sheet that I'm showing you guys. Okay, so I'm now cutting this out. Sorry if this isn't very clear to everybody.
This is a bit better piece of leather.
There we go. So pretty much I'm going to end up with a piece of leather like this. I'm now just going to chop that bottom bit off there just to get it square. Again, that's it. You can not do that. You don't have to be super precise. You're always picking what you're doing. Okay. Let me know when you've kind of got to the stage where you've got a rectangle, babe.
Sorry, bear with me, everyone.
No, there's no rush.
Okay.
While doing that, I'll probably make myself another one.
I'm going to slightly over-egg it on the dimensions, Ian.
Yeah, I recommend over-egging it on the dimensions.
It's about. Did you say it's about 3.5? It is pretty much bang exactly 3.5. Is it 3 bang on?
It's under 3 actually.
I think it's 3.7 maybe 3.6. Okay, so and you said you went for 18, didn't you?
You don't need to do that. Any multiple of 3.
That actually works out well. So we'll keep it simple just because we're doing a stream. Okay, looking good. Do a similar vibe down here. Make sure I'm not messing this up.
Other people, for example, might just want to. Other people might just want to basically just slap the leather onto the foam and then cut the foam out. That is certainly a way you can do it without doing any measurements like this. Normally, generally speaking, you'll have more leather than you will foam because you get several kilograms of leather. But maybe you've only got a very small amount of the colours you want to use. Or you have loads of foam or whatever, so you can choose what you want to economize on. You invariably don't get 100% efficiency from whatever you do, so there's no worries if it's not losing out. So you don't really have to
also
worry.
I've noticed the leather, because it's stretchy, you can actually stretch it into a bad position, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you want everything comes with a bit of flex. You don't want to be tugging at the lever to make it fit the design, because obviously what's going to happen then is that the lever will naturally want to return to its relaxed state. This is going to all make it sound way more complicated than it is, but it's a very simple process of just basically just drawing a rectangle that is of the right multiple sizes.
If anyone's watching my side of the stream, it's like, draw the fucking thing, Dave. Hold on, let me try and get a bit more of that in. I want to maximize crafting and minimize crotch, basically. So let's see. There we go. Good. Oh, thanks for hosting, by the way, Shoop. Yeah, I like that, Phil. Like a whole bunch of people all wearing, like, we can be like a Lamellar club of like people are like, you know, all the cool kids are wearing Ian's design for Lamellar.
While Dave's cutting out his rectangle, and no pressure on time, Dave. Just take time, get your rectangle right. But while Dave's doing that, I'll show you basically these plates here that I was showing before, and how that's kind of built up, and talk a little bit about some of the weathering that goes on there. So that's basically built out of this plate here that hopefully you can see. I'm very sorry if my camera's very pixely. Believe it or not, it's actually supposed to be quite a good camera. But
I think it's Discord, bro. Don't feel bad about it, man. Dude, we're not professional. You know, the budget that we're working with here.
Basically, what I've done here is take the leather plate with a foam on it, and I've weathered it slightly with actually a sort of a silver, I've sanded it slightly, given it a slightly weathered effect. You don't need to do any of this, by the way. This is just for where I am with my current set that I'm working on. And then the little green dots, I'm not sure if you can make them out, but that's actually just using a paint marker pen like this.
Okay. I've just learned something, Ian. I've just learned something.
Yeah.
Having some space to work in is very helpful.
Very useful.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
So, these kind of bit here. This kind of paint marky pen, it basically just makes nice dots, and this is paint. And what I basically will do is, I'll just add another green dot to this. I just do a little dot like that, and then I will get some tissue or something, or even my fingers, and I'll just give it like a little kick. And then you can see there, it's just kind of giving it a little look like there's a little bit of mold that's kind of worked its way into the leather. Hopefully that's showing up. And it gives it, if I do a couple of dots like that on each plate, then that's what will basically let me kind of sell that effect. So I have a whole raft of these plates ready to go. A whole bunch.
Right, Ian, we are...
Many.
We're in square cutting out territory here, bud. Or rectangle cutting out territory here.
Yeah, so I've got a fair amount of these. And then these are going to have these steel washers attached to them. And these steel washers, very much the same. If I bring one up to the camera. Sorry, this isn't showing very well. Again, you can see they've been weathered. That's basically just a case of that I've sanded the washers to basically key them ready for the paint and ready for the other weathering that I do. And then I take like an off-color silver, and I just sort of dry brush, again sand, and then I just do exactly the same as I did before, again with this sort of green thing, and kick it off with a bit of stuff. And it gives you quite a nice effect to make it look like there's a bit of patina on there or whatever. And then lastly, with the rivets, I do exactly the same. So you'll see the head of these rivets.
I did it!
Sorry if this doesn't...
I did it!
Oh, fantastic. Oh, there you go. You can see the head of that rivet's got exactly the same effect. Again, I've sanded it, weathered it, and given it a couple of kicks with the green. I think that gives quite a nice kind of tarnished copper look. And then that's all just going to get pushed down to basically flatten out the...
My little victory punch.
The plate. So, sorry, it's not really focusing in. That's going to flatten out to give you a finished piece like this.
By the way,
Right.
Skiv says that my cutting out is Blue Peter badge worthy. So thank you.
There you
I
go.
appreciate that. And then feels like he says wash it in Nuln oil. It's the magic
Yes.
in a bottle.
You can certainly. There are infinite ways to weather, by the way, but I just thought I'd run you through a few of the things that I've done.
I used, if you listen to our Blind Dogs episode, we did. I used a lot of rust paint, which is really cool. It actually has like an oxidation.
It's actually real rust, right?
Yeah, and it looks really good. So there's loads of options out there. So don't take this as the be all.
In fact, I think that's probably the best option, right? If you want rust, then the best thing to do is actually to rust it.
Sam,
rather than do what I have. Anyway, you've got your.
Sam's saying if smaller rivets are needed, you can use googly eyes, and I think that would be an amazing like monstering costume, right? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Oh man, imagine like a whole plate of googly eyes. Actually, that'd be so cool. Like,
yeah, like
and you rattle along as you go.
Right, I've over. I have over. This is okay. This is my first time, so hold on. Can I? This is vexing me. Oh, hold on. I got moves. Check that out, Ian.
Oh, it looks better than me.
Look at that now, folks.
Okay.
Very good. Sounds absolutely terrifying. Yeah.
We're ready to attach the leather onto some foam.
Okay.
So I've got my sheet of foam here.
I have my sheet of foam here.
Being zoomed out a little bit, to be honest. But so I'm just going to peel off the backing of this. And for this,
do you peel off the whole thing, Ian?
No. So normally, what I would do, by the way, is I would cut out a whole raft of these bits of leather.
Yeah.
Right. I would have a whole bunch of them. In fact, surprise, surprise, I've got a bunch off camera here.
Oh my god! Don't be that guy, Ian. Don't be the guy that showed up with all of the things pre-made. You know what I mean?
So yeah, basically, I'm probably gonna do that. I think what you want to probably do in your instance, Dave, is just peel it off a little bit. You can peel it off part of the way.
What I might do is cut it out. I might do a quick line down here and then just
you can do that.
Cut it out.
Do that. That works fine. So you'll notice actually a bunch of times when you do peel this, it's probably worth showing. Again, I sort of apologise for any patronising here. No, you'll notice that when you peel it, it kind of sometimes doesn't all come. That's fine. Don't worry. Just pick it off. It's fine. It doesn't matter if there's little bits. It doesn't spoil it. The adhesive quality of this stuff's pretty good. It doesn't weary in any way. Anyway, I'm going to peel off, in my case, the whole back. I'm going to get this massive adhesive side here. Okay, I'm very sorry if this is hard to see.
You know what, Ian? I am cutting the foam using my scissors here. Should I be using cheaper scissors?
No, that's fine. Your fabric scissors are all good.
Okay.
The fabric scissors I use on this foam, again, that's probably not the best thing to do, but that's what I do.
All right.
All right. Right, so I'm going to start basically layering up my sheet here. So
by the way, I am sweating bullets right now. Like, I know it's a warm day, but good. This isn't just me.
I'm sweating massively. Like, in fact, off camera, I was having little
I'm a sweaty boy right now.
Tom Cruise style drips coming off that.
The shower scene, like you're going over to a lady's house after
the bit from
after some volleyball,
Mission
maybe.
Impossible, where he's hanging from the roof.
Oh, you know? the drip of sweat off his nose bit, Ian.
Yeah.
God, that's a good movie. I heard I didn't watch any of the later ones. I watched that. I think the second or the
really good.
third one.
Fallout is totally legit.
Yeah, I heard that they got really good after that. So, all right.
Sorry, like the latest one is crazy. Like it's actually legit.
Yeah. Anyway.
So as you can see, it is as simple as what I just did. Take your leather, slap it down, face up, self-adhesive on the back. Right. It's gonna go on there.
Okay.
I've got one piece. I just smooth it down roughly with my fingers. You don't have to be too precious about that. It really will take it. I'll if I tried to peel this off, it would not really want to come.
Success.
Nice. Perfect,
yes.
Right?
Okay. Cool. All right.
See.
Very good.
So you can play a little bit of Tetris here and try and get the best bang for your buck on your things, right? You know, try and work out how you're going to get it all done.
Like I said, I have overly my sheet's a little bit big because it's my first one. So
I recommend having it a little bit big, by the way, guys, just like Dave has there. Actually, that's a perfect example.
Thank you, Ian.
So what Dave's now going to do is he's going to take his ballpoint pen, or whatever it is that he's using, and you're basically just going to draw around in fact, I'll rush to get to the stage where you are.
No, Ian, take your time. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll lift the camera up and do some... Does anyone have any questions, by the way? Like, for us, generally? Like, if you have any...
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a crafting question,
No,
by the way.
if it's a LARPy question or a LARP Noobs question. Yeah, if you have any questions at all, just fire them into the chat. Or if you just want to chill out and just watch the stream and relax, then that's also fine. No rules in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so in my instance, because a lot of these pieces of leather that I made to actually work with the hexagons that I'm using, I'm going to be using a hexagon design. In Dave's instance, he's going to be using the D plates. So let's do that. So it depends how you've measured it out. I've kind of obviously worked out that this piece of leather would only go like this. But I'm going to basically draw around this design. So I'm going to do that now. Literally just with a biro. You'll notice that hopefully once I've finished this,
so
what
do you think
foam will take? Sorry.
How much of an edge do I need from the end of my foam piece to show that a bit better? From the end of my foam piece to where the template starts, Ian. Do I need to worry about that too much, or can it be quite tight?
I do it like I literally butt the tip of my biro up against the template, and I push against it, like lightly. I'm not like scoring into it, but I'm drawing around it. And you'll see, hopefully that's clear. And I do apologize for my camera quality, but hopefully you can see now there's a little hexagon design on there. Now, obviously, the one thing that's not going to give me is my holes. So while you've got it all lined up, and obviously you would probably keep it on before you took it off like I did, but anyway, so I've got it all lined up here, and I'm literally just going to take my biro, and this is just a cheap big biro, and I'm just going to stab it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
For each hole. Boop, boop,
so instead of like using it like a pen, you're actually marking it almost, right?
Yeah. It doesn't matter, right? Ultimately, what you're drawing now is just for your own benefit, right? This is and the great thing about this is this is not stuff that you're going to see. So now I've removed that. Hopefully, you can make out all the points that I have here that now I've embedded on the piece.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to go along, and I'm now going to draw another one.
God, I haven't done anything like this in so long. My hands are like, what are you doing? Stop that. Are you trying to do arts and crafts right now?
Once you get into it, it's like super like relaxing, and what you'll find is as well, it's like such an easy set of tasks, right? I mean, you're literally drawing around a template. You're stabbing a pencil through some holes, so a pen through some holes. You can use a pencil actually, by the way. I recommend a biro if possible, but a pencil does work.
Sure. And obviously you're doing all this on the foam side, right? So it won't show on the leather.
Yeah, exactly right. None of this is going to show on the leather. And then what I'm going to do is basically cut with my scissors around these designs that I've got here. So that's very simple. And you'll notice this stuff just cuts super easy. Obviously, I have the benefit of what I think is a pretty snazzy pair of scissors here. But it's very easy to cut, right? This is literally just foam and leather. And it really gives very quickly, very easily.
I think I slightly worry about my hole placement. I think that's something I need to work on. But
just punch in the middle of the holes. And also, one thing I'll say about hole placement, it's easy to get like worried about that. But as I said at the beginning, there's a lot of give in all of this.
Okay, hold on.
Like the plates will stretch, the paracord will stretch, the holes themselves will stretch. So it will forgive a multitude of sins as you go.
Phil's saying in chat, this would work with 3mm leather too, right?
Oh yes, of course, yeah. I mean, the only reason I'm using the foam is simply price. If you wanted to buy, in fact, I'll get some felt blanks as a good example. One sec.
I'm just going to try and work on one plate here, guys, and we'll see if we can pull it off.
Yeah.
So also they're saying you could use this to make gauntlets.
Yep, anything. Gauntlets. In fact, that piece that I showed you with the rivets in it and so on. So I'm going to have a chest piece that's made out of that. And then I'm going to use... So I'm going to use... So I'm switching between so many things. Actually, the one thing I want to show you isn't here. Oh, here it is. So yeah, and then I'm going to use this on the arms. So I'm going to use ingot plate style stuff on the arms. Obviously not made out of card, again, made out of the material that we're looking at here.
Okay, Ian.
So that's going to go on shoulders and arms using that.
Could you just explain... Could you just explain how you would use this design to make gauntlets?
So how I would do it, I mean, obviously the actual gloves and hands, you're going to have to obviously do yourself. What I would probably do, and that would just be like a normal set of gloves or something. I mean, you could do some actual rivet, some stitching there. Again, trial and error on your part. But I would probably use one of the smaller designs that I've got, probably something like that will give you an effect like this, which is those O plates that I showed before. These layer up quite nicely. If I put my arm in, you'll see that they're actually quite small, and I think would be quite forgiving for a piece like that. They'll stretch around my arm quite well.
So effectively what you're doing is you're creating something that can go round the... Oh my god, this is far too close, isn't it? You're effectively creating something that can go effectively round your arm, right? So up
yeah, that's how I would probably do it. So I would take this...
Even up to here, and then have something to kind of... you could even connect it using...
Yeah, I mean, this sort of something I've not tried before.
Sorry, that's a full-on crotch shot there. Apologies, everyone.
So I have actually got a set of leather gloves somewhere, but I haven't got them to hand. But yeah, I would essentially have a set of leather gloves, and I'd probably thicken them up, and then coming off the sleeves of the gloves, as it were. I'm sorry, again, you can't really see this. I would then have this, and that would wrap around, probably then going up to where the back of my arm is.
Yeah.
I would then have. I'll show you. I'm just going to bring my camera up.
Yep.
Okay, so my actual steel set of Lamellar here, you can see it's got how it's attached. I'm sorry, it's hard to show. You can see that stitching there?
Yeah, it's got like holes in the side, right? And you've got some cord going through it, right?
Yeah, so that's actually eyelets that I would then have, and then I would basically have some threading, and that's how I would sort of tie it together to give you your kind of your finich.
Okay.
That's not something I've done, by the way, guys. So if you guys want to do some gauntlets, I'd love to see some gauntlets using this design.
Shoop, who's we're watching his stream, really inspired this stream because he was inspired by Ian.
Massive inspiration on this
like,
stream.
if you guys want to do any sort of feedback loop on this sort of stuff, then definitely we'd love to see if this inspires anything. Then please let us know because that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think this is like a huge thing. This could iterate a whole bunch. There's going to be people who are going to certainly find better ways of doing all of these things and take it hopefully awesome little places where we can make cheap, cool, easy armor that can be carried onto a bunch of processes, and I think that'd be really good.
Right, Ian, let's talk about hole punching and the right way to do it. Oh my god, these holes are already not perfect, so...
No, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't matter. Just dots in the middle of the little circles.
Okay, so I have my dots, Ian. You can see here. And then, so what's the point of etiquette here? Do I use the flat side on the leather side, or do I use the flat side the other way around? Is it like...
I prefer to do it so the foam is facing up towards the punch like this.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
So I'm going to go for this center hole here.
I have that on a 4.
There's no real reason for that, actually. You could easily do it the other way around. There's no right or wrong way.
Oh, I'm so nervous. Okay.
I just line it up. Okay, so I've got it lined up. Give it a push. Give it a twist, right?
Ooh, it makes a really satisfying little
yeah, it makes a nice little click.
Okay, I twisted.
Right, I'm going to pull it free. And there you go. There's your hole. Okay.
Fuck.
And don't worry about, by the way, any little markings or scorings. In fact, if you borrowed something in here, like, if you've drawn something in there, doesn't really matter. No one's ever going to see it, right?
Shoop says, Dave the LARPer, making some D plates as we speak, totally inspiring to try something new, and during this extended long dark is a great way to pass the time while being creative, while maintaining Empire hype. Yeah, I totally agree, dude. Like, it's nice, right? And I think like all of us are kind of like, obviously would much prefer to be LARPing right now. But definitely. There's no point in, like, we might as well make the best of the situation, right? There's got some time, and hopefully we can get something out of it. And don't feel bad, by the way, if you're watching this and just feeling like, I've been so unproductive over this whole period.
Yeah,
and like, that's not the intention, right? Like, it's
the thing to know
give yourself
is
a break.
actually like this process, like this is done over an insanely long period of time, right? Like, so everything that I've done is actually like there's a lot of not doing anything that is hidden in between all of that, right?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I don't know what the actual hours of the project are, but for example, that riveted set that I showed you before, that actually came together very quickly, and that's simply because I suddenly decided before we were doing this that I would put it together, and I think I did that in a few days of just kind of spending a couple of hours each night. And that's in massive contrast to when I was doing the that other set of leather armor I showed you before, which was, well, I mean, it's not finished yet, right? Like, because I haven't actually fully attached it all together. So,
dude, it's exactly, dude, it's the same with the podcast, right? Like, trying to get anything done. Yeah. Like, we certainly have not been. If we're giving the impression that we've been ultrally productive and doing loads of cool stuff, that is not true. So definitely you are not alone in that. And I also get the feeling like people feel like having so much time that they're not that they don't need to, they should be being more productive. It's hard on lots of different people and for a number of different reasons. So don't like, I don't know, maybe I'm pushing the point a bit too much here, but
no, I get what you're saying, and I agree with it as well. I think like you can stress yourself out by not being productive. Yeah. Here's a good example. Even with the twisting, I still had this piece here that didn't come out. It doesn't matter, right? I'd literally just pull it out, right, and it'll come out. So don't worry about that. That you can't really screw these things up. You're not going to see any of those kind of tufts that you might be able to see in between the holes. You're not going to see any of that.
Yeah.
Once your paracord's all threaded and stuff, that's not an issue. And in fact, it adds a little bit of character to it anyway, right? Like the cool thing about this often, I mean, sure, if you want to go for like ultimate precision, you can. There's probably better projects for you if that's what you want anyway, to be honest. But if the little variances, and especially when you've got what we have here, which is a job lot lucky dip bag of leather in all kinds of different colors, right? I think it generates this really nice effect when it's all put together. All these different shades of brown, for example, that I'm using. And you can see they're all different because if you look at the different bits of leather here, they've all got different backings, right?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Okay, so I'm using on purpose, in fact, there's a bit of red, right? I'm using on purpose all these different shades of brown, and actually as they get layered up, I think they make quite a nice effect, right? They kind of, they've got slightly different shades, and as they move, I think they make quite a nice.
I think that's it's hard to agreed. It's hard to show on the camera, but it looks really fucking cool in reality. The way that it kind of the different patterns, I think it worked really well. Like we said for another. Let me just go through some chat stuff. Definitely bringing the LARP community together, and yeah, I do think I love the LARP community. I think they're absolutely fantastic, and just like let me put it this way, look at this, there's two dickheads making crafting stuff, and you guys are all here supporting us along the way,
true.
Which is fantastic, right? Is it fair to say
else, did you see the raffle stuff that was happening earlier?
I need to get on that
set
actually.
Up like yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, very cool.
There's a
let me just go through
this
quickly. Right. This is my first podcast I've listened to, and it's good. This technically isn't a podcast. What we do is we do a podcast called the LARP Noobs, which is just basically our experiences of when we first started going to LARP, and we've kind of continued doing it, and that's what we do really. Where's that Anna? I've lost track of who's who at this stage. It is fair to say that most of us LARPers are also gamers. I think there's a lot of different people from different camps. I think nowadays there are a lot of gamers generally, so that isn't necessarily something that was like when we were younger, that gamers had a lot more of a...
I've spoken about this before. I think there's like different Venn diagrams of people who go LARPing, right? And they come from all different walks of life. And I think, to be honest with you, that makes the whole LARP experience richer, right? Ultimately, more people is better.
It's our differences and variety that make us better, right?
Exactly.
It's a little wonky, guys, but I've now one plate down, right? 500 to go. Right, what else we got going on here? There's a good article on productivity porn on social media at the moment. Interesting. Is that like... Yeah, I think like everyone's watched like the videos on YouTube and all that stuff, right? Anyway, certainly a high percentage will share other similar hobbies, I bet. Yeah, that's very right, Phil. I like this, Phil. We all have different shades of nerd, very much so. Geeks of the world unite, basically. Let's talk about the irregular props. The irregular props raffle. Mad props to regular props, as always on this thing. We like them a lot. They are doing raffles. In fact, I get the feeling there's a bunch of different. Because I've seen different raffles for different groups, right? And I think LARP sellers are actually struggling a little bit, obviously, because we don't have any LARPs this year, so it's a nice way to support them and give them some money, and also gamble. Who doesn't like gambling, right? I
think that is actually banned by Twitch, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Can you gamble on Twitch? I have not read the terms and conditions. I just assumed if there was a rule that if we were going to break it, it's probably not a rule that should be enforced. So, got my staff from them. Boy, I love it with that stuff. Yes, yeah, I think their kit's really good. There's a few really, really good sellers. Oh, do you know what I should do? I should plug the light armories while we're here. So let me, because they've been very kind, and that we're actually doing a giveaway. We're doing a giveaway. I'll be right back.
Okay. While Dave's doing that, I'll quickly show what I'm going to do. So again, this is all extras. This isn't stuff you need to do to make this happen. But for mine, what I'm going to be working on is basically attaching this with this to this.
Sorry, I'm back. This is
with. Sorry.
No, go on. I was butting into you, and you finish up then.
The rivets come with backs like this. Okay, so these are cap rivets for anybody who's, again, sorry, I'll just space these out so you guys can see. These are cap rivets, and they basically come with a tailed end and an eye end here. I've pre-weathered all of these, obviously. So that's going to have that. That's going to get clipped on the back, like so. Okay. Now, most of you will probably, when you buy your cap rivets, you'll probably want to get yourself a little rivet press. That's very simple. You can find those. But what I've basically done for me, and this is just a bodge on my part, I don't know if this is clear. I've literally got two pieces of flat, actually slightly curved metal plate here, which came with some. What's that? It's a type of magnet begins with an N, which is extremely strong magnets, basically. And they're basically attached then magnetically to my thing here. Again, this is all technical stuff you don't necessarily need to do, but the end result is I basically have some squishy things that I can squish this together.
You have what's it called, like a hinge, and then you can pivot a lot more strength onto it on flat surfaces, which
then I can just squish that together, and I can squish it down. And I want to. That's actually pretty badly, actually, but pressures of stream. But there you go.
It's
okay.
Let's do it live. Let me put it this way: I just struggled to draw a shape and cut it out. It took me about half an hour.
Okay, so, that's probably the worst one I've actually done, but it will generate an effect like this. Fortunately, what I'm trying to do is supposed to look like shit, so that's okay.
I think that looks great, Ian.
but basically, it will make that effect. And again, so I'm going to kind of be basically going along doing that with each of my things. Anyway, Dave, you show off the thing.
Okay, so we've kind of got made a little deal with Light Armories to give away this sword, basically. If I'm showed off a bit, the weight on it is awesome, right? It's a really nice piece of kit. It's the length you want it to be. It's like an arming sword, you could say. I'm not really showing it off that well. Quite basic design, extremely high quality. We are not being paid to promote this. We're getting nothing from it. It's just more of a way for us to try and say thank you to the community. So we're not going to give this away yet. The plan was that we get most of our downloads for the podcast on event episodes. So what I wanted to do was kind of promote it over a weekend after an event and then give it away at the next event. Obviously we haven't had any events, so basically this has just been in my spare room, but we are going to give this away, so something to look forward to, guys. So just to let you know, Light Armory, thank you very much for them. I hope they're okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I need to email them. I haven't spoken to them in a long time. They probably think I'm just some guy
this whole thing's kind of kibosh on it, right?
Right, but again, we're going to give this away. If you know, I'll put some pictures up on Facebook. I think they're already on Facebook, actually. But be aware, when LARP starts again, it'll be basically what I'm going to do is I'll set up a comment, like a post, and all you need to do is comment on there, and then we'll arrange either sending it to you if you're in a foreign country, or we will give it to you at Anvil, or we'll basically figure it out, basically. So that's what we're doing. So there we go. Good, enough waffling. Back to crafting.
Yeah. So, Dave, do you want to basically go along and make a couple more of those?
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, shall I show off a couple of the other things I've crafted?
Ian, yes, most definitely, buddy.
So these are going to be completely unrelated to camera position. It's not great.
That's good. All right, nice.
Oop.
Ah, your one. Yeah, it's tough, right? You look so pale, Ian.
I don't know what's happened.
Do you want to try
camera
turning it off and on again, maybe?
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. I'll come back in a sec, guys.
Okay. In the meantime, folks, prepare to be dazzled by my... Oh no, have I lost the plate? Damn it! What have I done with it? Oh, here it is. There it is. Alright, let's move it again. You back? You happy?
Is that any better?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good.
Okay. Right. So yeah, I'll show you guys a couple of other things I've made. These are completely unrelated to the project we're working on, but just to give you an idea, if anybody ever has any questions about any of these things or wants to know any processes involved in making them, I'm happy to share. As with everything here, I'm really happy to have any questions.
Thank you, Phil, by the way.
All of this stuff is like trial and error at every stage, and there's better ways, I'm sure, of doing everything that I'll show off, but I'll give you guys a look at a couple of things. So I'll start. With my alchemy box here, which hopefully is clear. So this is actually a essential oils box that I bought off Amazon for, I don't know, I think it was like 12, 13 pounds, something like that. I basically just went to B&Q and just bought some hinges and put those on, the idea that I can essentially just walk around with it like bop, 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 bop. I then wood stained it badly because I'm not very good at that, and then essentially made this, which is going to be where I'm going to sell all of my alchemy stuff from. These
can
are
you
little
tilt?
alchemical...
Can you tilt down onto that, Ian, maybe, or get a better angle on that?
That?
Look at that shit, though. Now show off the actual fizz rep, Ian. Sorry, I think this is amazing, by the way. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll tilt the camera down and show you what a couple of the potions themselves look like. So they come like this.
Little label there, look. Little Ashbourne logo.
Okay. So these are actually these are plastic sample bottles, and that was very important. I wanted to basically get something that was combat safe. A lot of the little bottles you can get are glass bottles, and obviously there's always the risk that they could break, you could hurt yourself, anything like that. So these are plastic bottles that have aluminium caps on them. So I think that just makes the whole process a bit safer when you're trying to fizz rep it. The labels are just stuff that I printed out on some yellow paper, yellowed sort of aged paper that I have. Sorry, the camera quality is not great, but and then what I did again was I covered that in sellotape just to basically give it a slight waterproof edge. That's then stuck onto the bottles. Okay, so that's basically how those are made. The actual contents inside is actually resin. So this is 2-part resin that you can buy. And I've basically just taken some, in this case, because this is a sparkly one, I've taken some kids glitter and just chucked that into the mix as I was making it. And then I pipetted basically the an amount that I was kind of happy with into each bottle. So it basically gives it this kind of nice kind of quality, I think, that looks pretty nice. And it comes in multiple different colours.
The colours are very handy as well, right? Because you kind of went through and you thought about which ones would match which potion, right?
Yeah, so there's different. You can have it. For example, here's a purple without sparkles. There's a green with sparkles. No, I've got all different combinations here. But I think basically what this will let me do is essentially just walk up and hopefully sell some and manage to drum up some cash from everybody. If I tilt this back up again, it's probably...
I ballsed up a plate, by the way. I'm not going to hide it. I ballsed up a plate, and I'm comfortable with that, okay?
That's okay. That's fine. So what I did, I don't know if you can see, but actually inside here, this is felt that the self-adhesive felt that I've got that I stuck inside the whole box. And inside here is, again, the great thing about those essential oils boxes is they come with a pre-made kind of grid, which I basically pulled out, covered each section with this self-adhesive felt. That gives me this kind of way of kind of showing off the whole sort of thing. And then because I have some that are lying flat down like this, and some that are standing up vertically, in order to make it so when I close it, they don't all just fall out of place. I had to make, and I don't know how well it's going to show up black on black, is obviously not great for cameras, but I wanted to make an area where it would basically cover up those. So these are actually...
Ryan, thanks, pal. Thanks for showing up, dude. Really appreciate it.
These are actually smooth it pads like this that I got from the pound shop. So these are just dry sanding blocks, that I then foamed up and basically stuck inside.
So
the
intention behind that is, Ian, that it will effectively give a light amount of force on everything and just keep everything where it should be in the box,
so
right?
Once I've got this closed up, for example, I can give it all a shake and it will keep everything in the right order, right? Nothing's going to have moved anywhere. It still all keeps it in its correct place. So, which it did, fortunately. It didn't just fail on camera. That would have been embarrassing. But no, so that's basically project number one, was I wanted to make a way that I could go around and sell some alchemy potions. If anybody ever has any questions about that, I'm happy to talk about that. Next thing has been making a lot of fizz reps for weird little alchemy things. So I've been making these, and I'll tilt the camera down so you can see. These kind of weird, again, I don't think that, hopefully the camera's going to focus in. These kind of weird plants and herbally kind of things that are inside these different pots. Again, these pots are all plastic, so they're battle safe. And actually what's inside them is aquarium plants that I've cut up, basically. These are just things that are basically like they come in all different colors. There's a kind of quite like the blue and purpley ones. Sorry if it won't focus very well.
Very cool.
Yeah, so they're kind of cool, and they have like a little texture to them. So I don't know. I thought it'd be kind of cool to sort of have like a whole row of them. I've got like 250 of these basically.
They're also just from. They're also quite relevant to your character, right? Because your herbs is kind of one of your things as a character, which I think is cool.
Yeah, so I'm an alchemist, and I've kind of written a book, which this is an unbound together version of my book. This is The Alchemist at Ease. Hopefully you can see that, by Talis Ashbourne.
Nice.
And basically that's just all herb lore stuff, herb lore kind of stuff that will all be sort of attached together to make a book. I don't actually have any fully finished books on me.
Phil says you'll have to end up getting yourself an IC shop, and then Shoop is like, damn, you have any idea how much you'll sell these for IC? We talked about this, didn't we, Ian? I think we usually end up underselling our stuff rather than overselling it. But
yeah. I mean, the thing that's definitely, if because I want to sell everything for IC coin, so the books probably made me the most money by far.
But to be fair, Ian, that's a lot though, right? Like
that was a big job.
OC money as well. You put into that, like it's they're really cool.
Yeah. I'll share some pics at some point of what the actual finished ones look like, but they're pretty cool, I think.
Got a question here: how much did you sell your IC book for, Ian?
So they were about 2 thrones a piece, and I made some boxed versions that kind of came in fancy display boxes, and they sold for about, I only had 2 of those, and one of them sold for about 4 thrones. So yeah, they're not cheap things, but that's basically, to be honest with you, that bankrolled the Ashbourne for quite a long time, to be perfectly honest.
Awful lot of drinking money.
We haven't really made a lot of money, so
no.
I've made, I don't know, I think I'd made like about 16 books or something. And
will you trade it for alcohol, Ian? I don't think so.
I think I ended up spending.
Depends on the booze, actually, to be fair, but no.
Gambling and booze, yeah.
The life of Talis Ashbourne.
Pretty much high rolling for gambling tables I can't afford. Right. So beyond that, other things I've been working on is this.
Wow, we've been going
which
for.
Is
sorry, go on.
A sash that I've been making, and that's basically to sort of fancy up Talis a little bit, and that's made.
George, will hook you up.
Sorry, I missed.
No, George is just saying he needs to make some icy cash, and George, I'm sure you're helping us out with the podcast, man.
We really need some cash.
Yeah, but
I really need some money.
George is actually going to be helping us out doing some voiceovers for the intros and outros, so I'm sure we can come to
Dude, thank you so much.
Some sort of arrangement.
Yeah, so those sashes that I was showing there, they're made. Sorry, I really have all this stuff to hand, but it's all buried underneath the chaos that is off screen.
Two down,
that's
folks.
Made. Oh, nice.
Well, I balls one up, unfortunately, so that's a shame. But yeah.
So hopefully you guys can see. That's made using these iron-on embroidered thistles that are basically layer up to make.
Hold on. What are you showing now, Ian? Oh, we've just lost you again, Ian. Hold on, folks. Hopefully he'll come back. Ian, sticky the camera on again, bud.
Yeah, sure. Cool. Nice. Yeah, and then some sari ribbons that actually go down the side of the material. So hopefully that gives you guys a bit of an insight into a couple of the things I've been crafting beyond just these plates.
Those templates you got, they just iron onto fabric?
Yeah, although I have to say, the problem I have then and is I bought like quite um, textured curtain fabric, which is actually really good quality curtain fabric.
Right.
But the problem was because it has a texture, and then when you iron on, of course, the fabric moves, and it's got like a slightly corduroy kind of texture to it.
Right.
So where you've ironed it on, it's sort of ironed on the ridges rather than the dips.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
they sort of peel off after a while. So now I've had to kind of go through and just reinforce the ironing by sort of stitching it. So I've basically gone round with some metallic-y green thread and just have basically just done some simple loops, which was really not what I wanted to do. But that'll just reinforce it and help it all be a bit stronger.
Okay. I would say, let's say we've been going for almost 2 hours. Let's end the stream at a nice round number, like 10 o'clock.
Yes, I think so.
But if anyone has any questions or anything else they want to ask, like, now is definitely the time to kind of...
Yeah, now's the time, I think. We can fire through anything. And yeah, it doesn't have to be about crafting. It'd be about anything, any points you want to put across, or anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
Or about anything with the podcast. Happy to answer any questions.
I should say we do have... we've got 2 episodes in the bag right now. I've received some lovely audio files from different people who are going to help us out doing the intros and outros for that. Obviously, we've been a bit slow in that because of the nature of everything. I've also been dragging my heels in a lot of stuff, right? Like there's stuff going on, but hopefully, also I would have got it out earlier this week. But man, the amount of LARP content that's being produced right now is absolutely phenomenal. Like Hefty Yeti streams have been really good. We had a new Orcs Planet video come out, which was really fun. Who else is there? God, I'm gonna miss some people off and be really rude about it, but like, my goodness, the whole community's like started to really produce some awesome stuff at the moment, right? So obviously we're doing the stream this week. I would like to get an episode out in the next couple of days, basically. So hopefully we'll do that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, Phil, of doing something to do with like.
No, there is actually an apothecary video come out. It was a live stream.
Okay.
I think it was a Navari lady that did the video.
Wait,
you should check it out. Actually, I'd be curious. No, but then I also think like the danger is that you can end up feeling like you're stepping on someone else's toes by covering something similar, right? And I would say. Your version of a apothecary video would not be the same as someone else's, right? I think this, unfortunately, LARP is still extremely small and a fairly closed loop. So, Ian, if you wanted to make one, man, I would definitely encourage you to do it, man. I think it'll be interesting and good.
I don't know exactly what I would talk about. You know,
battle healing.
It's yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like the thing is as well, like Talus is still quite a new character. I feel still like quite a new
dude. You're old, dude. You're
now.
Old man Talus at this stage. Hold on, I'm gonna bring the camera up and we can kind of close out with some face cams instead of doing it the other way. Scriv says, I'm just listening to the early podcast. I've just heard your interview with the PD guys today. Yeah, so this is one thing that I talked about before. So PD and our how we kind of talk to PD and get on with them. So that interview was literally, I emailed PD. I said, I do this, and not that we have a huge amount of listeners anyway, but like we're not big, right? Like we're not a big podcast. But they were totally up for the idea. I drove up to where Matt P lives, and he literally invited me into his home. I'd never spoken to him before. We barely chatted, just a couple of emails here and there. Sat down, and literally, as that episode is, I spent maybe a minute talking to Matt and Graham before we started recording. So that whole thing is literally just record, and that's our first interaction with each other. Which is really, which I think people are kind of surprised about when they actually hear it. But yeah, it went really well. So basically, thanks to PD for being so fucking cool about us doing
running a great game as well, right?
They also said, which I thought was really cool, they said that they got the impression that we would be very honest in our experiences, and that's something that we both of us take very seriously, right, Ian? Like, we definitely we don't want to give like a fluffy, this is what LARP is like and everything's sunshine and rainbows. We want to really give an impression of what our experiences are like, positive and negative, so you can get a good idea for it, because there are some LARP stuff that is sometimes uncomfortable for people. You get tired out emotionally or physically, so yeah, we try and be honest about it. But it was nice to see PD actually quite like that, you know what I mean? Like, and I appreciate that. I think that was actually Dave Kimball White said to that when Claire Evans came here to do the new player episode. Oh, loads of stuff in chat. Hold on, sorry. Battle healing would be cool. The Navari song time stream when E3 was happening was fantastic. I totally agree, Demonic. 1993. God, that makes me feel old. But yeah, Gabby and Sam put that together, and a bunch of other people, and it was really, really cool. Adam, behind the scenes, was the one actually operating all the stuff, and I think we can all say it ran so smoothly, and it's very nerve-wracking, right? An awful lot of these people, like us, right? We're LARPers, we're just a bunch of nerds. Like, doing the step of putting ourselves out there, it's not something that we may seem very comfortable with it, but can sometimes be very nerve-wracking. But always with the LARP community, like, we've never had really any bad experiences. I say that like we have had a bad experience. No, we haven't had any bad experiences, right, with anything. I don't think we've even, not that we wouldn't, if someone had like something to criticize us on, we wouldn't mind being told it, because it's probably something that we should know, right? But really so supportive, right? And I think that's something, all the people that went and did songs and stories, kudos, basically. Well done. You'll put a brave face on and got through it.
I had an awesome evening, right? Like all the songs as well, like just kind of singing along. I probably sounded a bit loopy singing along in my room while I was listening, but it's.
Dude, I went on
very wholesome about it.
Dude, I straight up went on an emotional roller coaster watching it, right? Because Sam did his story about my death again, and then there were certain songs that just brought me back to being at Empire. It was like, I laughed, I got pretty emotional, like it was fantastic, like really, really good. What else we got going on here? Matt P is awesome. Yeah, Matt P is awesome. He's a very, how should I put this? He's an individual, right? Like there are, you know,
I think
he's awesome. But that's what I mean is, let me what's that story about? So Jacques Villeneuve, Formula One driver, is driving around, and someone's doing an interview, and they were talking about how weird Jacques Villeneuve was, right? And someone turns around and goes, "You don't have to be normal to drive a car at 200 miles an hour, okay? Right? Like, in fact, our understanding of someone should be a conforming sort of person when they're doing exceptional things." It's just like, no, that's kind of what I mean by that. Matt isn't weird, but he's a very interesting fellow, very, very intelligent. And I think you can hear when we're talking, there's a certain point when we're talking where he kind of got hooked into the conversation, and this vast mountain of a mind just like lights up and starts to really fucking cool. Right. Oh, that's really cool. The conversation flowed well from Roots. Also, Skiv, I am not a professional interviewer. None of us have done anything like this before we did the podcast. So I think we're better at it now than we were, I think. Maybe I need to go back and listen to the old ones.
So. I mean, you've done more of the interviewee stuff than me.
Yeah, all the interviews I am insanely nervous before doing. Like every single time. Also, like I get a lot of imposter syndrome and insecurities about doing them. I don't think that comes across necessarily a huge amount when you're actually recording, but I really have to kind of dig deep sometimes and put my, no more sippy cuppy and big boy cup, you know what I mean, trying to get out there and do it, so
you can't
I really enjoy doing the interviews, because it gets me, I get to go and talk to people who I'm interested in, as you can see by the stuff, right? Like I'm genuinely interested, and hopefully that comes across in the interviews, right? What people are getting into. Spoke to Andy Raff at LARPCom. He is nice. He is too a nice app. Yep. I can't say enough nice things about Andy Raff, by the way. He's been extremely supportive of the podcast. Like, he's actually a patron, by the way, to our podcast, which is like, yeah, especially someone like Andy Raff, that means a lot to us, right? Like it's really fucking cool that he's supporting us. We like Andy Raff on this podcast a lot. What else we got here? Oh, full on did on the wall with my sword in my room. Oh, so you're like, are we talking about songs and stories there? No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think, I'm sure there were people in full kit by themselves in their living rooms watching songs and stories, right? Like 100%. And nothing wrong with that. I think we all sang, I know I did. Yeah, Demonic. Fuck yeah, dude. Like, yeah, I was singing along. I was really enjoying it, really. I also had that nice thing where I do this sometimes when I'm being self-conscious at LARP. Sometimes you just kind of like let it go. So there I am just singing my head off, right? And just having the best time. And it's nice to have that kind of release, right? You do a good job at interviews, though, Dave. Awesome stuff. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Honestly, Dave, you have such a natural, relaxed way to have interviews. Guys, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. You did really well.
I think you like.
Thanks, cool,
we're
dude.
very lucky
Appreciate
with the community as well. Like the people we get to interview.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you get to interview. I mean, obviously, when
you did the one with Robert, though.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like we get people who are interesting to talk to, which is and people who themselves bring a lot to the table. I think that definitely,
yeah,
I mean that's kind of the gift of it, right? Is to have, ultimately your subject's interesting and has stuff that you yourself want to hear, right?
Also, this isn't a criticism of other LARP content out there, but one of the things that we both decided when we were first coming up, the idea of doing the podcast is being noobs was pretty important to us, because I think there's, like, if you ask me now, what's it like being new at Empire? I could give you my impression of how it felt then, but it's not exactly how it was, right? And I feel like that's what. So if we did nothing else, just the first like event that we did, I'm still very proud of that we did it and we put it out there, and we were really worried about like the reaction from the community, because at that point we didn't know much. We really were just going to our first event and trying to put it out there. But if we did nothing else, all the 50 episodes,
you, actually, Dave, because you got me to do it, right? And
the podcast. To be fair, you're the one that got me to do LARP, so let's not get that back to front right there, right?
But yeah, I think it was just great though, right? Like we did it kind of as like a little time capsule for ourselves. But I think it was important to do it from a kind of first. A first kind of perspective, completely new players, and it was something that we'd never sort of attempted before, and we had no real, we had sort of vague knowledge of, obviously, but I think coming into it, it definitely is, I think, valuable to have that perspective. And as you say, I am actually very proud of that first episode. In fact, the first few episodes, I think, are in some ways probably some of the most valuable content.
And they're full of discrepancies and wrong information, which we were so worried about at the time. But it's interesting to see the more experienced members of the LARP community were so forgiving of the things that we got wrong. I think just our passion for it and everything else. I hope that basically what I really hope is it makes people that are tempted to go on LARPing have something to anchor themselves as an understanding of what it's like, right? And to be able to be a bit more confident and to get out there and LARP, basically.
Yeah, we tried to be honest basically all the way through, right? And I think like that served no better place than in those early episodes to really be honest about like the emotional fragility that you feel, that first time you before you step out of your tent, and the awkwardness you feel when it's like, all of a sudden you're actually in this world, right? And you're doing the things, and it's like,
I think the first thing that happened was someone came running out with an arrow in their chest. Right?
Arrows in them, yeah.
And I remember you were sat down and delivering aid to them, right? And it was just like, whereas me and Bung were like, what the fuck, man? Like, we were like really taken aback and felt really awkward and out of place. But because you were engaging the RP, you actually, you got to live that moment right there, right? So, and I think that's something that's...
My experience was different to yours, yeah.
Yeah, imagine if it was just like we both set up there and it was just like, or we're just instantly we're RPing and everything's going well and we're suddenly getting these huge plot lines just for us and everything else. And that isn't what's going to happen. You may well have a really awkward experience, but it's kind of to be expected when you're doing something like potentially intense that you're new to.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. All right. So George says, I think there's kind of a beautiful thing about LARP. Everyone is so passionate and into that when... Okay, George, you have to write smaller text, man, because it's going to take me a while to get through this, but I'll try. When you get into with someone, it all just flows and sparks fly. At least that's what it sounds like and my experience at LARPCon, the only related event I've attended. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Listening to the first episode of the podcast resettles a lot of worries and answers a lot of questions for a newcomer. It's really great to listen to and understand what's like from a perspective of a new player. Appreciate that, George. That's fucking cool, dude.
Hey, no need to apologize.
Oh, yeah, I'm joking, dude. No. I was completely joking about that, George. You did nothing wrong there, pal. And then Scriv says, yeah, as someone who doesn't yet, I'm set to do it now. Brilliant. Cool. Hey, we've run past, as we usually do, Ian. We have gone past our time that we actually wanted to go. So we went long, as we always do. Oh, let me get my keyboard ready, because I'm going to need to tabby to get through. Right. So I've managed to complete 2 and a bit in the entire time, in 2 hours.
Obviously, we've been talking a lot here, so...
Yeah, I need to concentrate on this a bit more when I do it.
Yeah, it is something that's best concentrated on.
If you would like us to do more streams like this, then please let us know. Like, obviously, we've still got like 14 people watching us right now, which is really fucking amazing. Thank you so much for sticking with us, basically.
So nobody would actually watch.
Yeah, fucking cool. We were pretty much going to do this just me and Ian, just so he could teach me in this time. So that's
also do pop on. Do ask any questions if anybody has any. I'm really happy to share anything that I've learned.
Yeah.
We will. Hopefully, the files will share somewhere as well, more permanent than obviously here, so people can
yeah, and if you want to share any of the documentation, it's just do it. Like, don't ask our permission. Don't do anything. Obviously, if you're gonna try and get money for it, then that might be slightly different. But just message us. Like, the context is pretty important here. So, but like generally, share it. Let other people know. We'll also hopefully, I might upload this video to YouTube maybe.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Also, I'm trying to. Obviously, the suit that I'm working on at the moment is going to be probably replacing that suit I showed you before. This one. So I'm thinking of in some way. Oops, sorry, wrong bit. Like that bit. So I'm thinking in some way of maybe trying to find a good way of giving that away, or
yeah, we're thinking about it. I think it might be cool. We're thinking about maybe doing it at an event, right? Like set a challenge or something for some new players to win. But hey, we're kind of thinking about it. This is very early stages of that sort of thought, right? So
yeah.
And no, well, thank you for coming along, guys. George, especially.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. And
thank you for your time, basically.
Ace of Sheep's streams as well. He's been doing this process a lot and has, I think actually to see the routine of kind of putting this together, he's actually done it probably better than we have here. And
it's a really nice chill stream, basically. It's nice time to hang out.
So do check out his streams.
Wicked. Cool. Let's say goodbye, Ian. Otherwise, we're going to keep on going for fucking hours like we usually do. So let us know. Also, if you have any suggestions for subject matter for us to talk about, we've probably gone through this now, I would say, like the basics of how it works, but obviously message us. Let us know. We'll do something else. We'll do more questions. We'll just do chatting. Me and Ian can probably chat about LARP quite a lot if you guys are interested and want to talk about it. But yeah, fantastic. And thank you so much for all the nice compliments. You are going to give us all massive egos and we'll be like horrible, monstrous LARP celebrities going around and being like, oh, don't you know who I am? I'm actually quite a big deal. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but we really appreciate it. So Nice to listen to you making Druge kit. Oh, nice. Nice. And lots of crafting going on. Wicked. Anyway, let's say goodbye, as we always do. Strength for the Empire.
Strength to Navarre.
Boom.